Today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting linear expressions. When we finish with these notes, you need to make sure that you glue them into your strategies section. So from last class, we were talking about combining like terms. Well, the only difference that we're going to have today is you're going to see that we're going to have sets of parentheses, and so we're going to have to treat them a special way. So the examples below demonstrate one expression being added to or subtracted from another expression. And so we're going to follow these steps below to complete the example problems. So step number 1, we are going to simplify each set of parentheses. So we are going to simplify each set of parentheses, rewriting them without having the parentheses in the expression. So we're going to have two cases. Well, we have a case with addition and we're going to have a case with subtraction. So the first case, if the group has no sign, or if it has a plus sign in front of it, or an addition sign, that means the parentheses are not necessary, so we can just drop them. On the other hand, if the group has a minus sign, or a negative, or a subtraction in front of it, this means the entire group is being subtracted, not just the first term in the group. So both are going to be subtracted, or however many are inside the parentheses. The way we're going to do this is we are going to apply the distributive property. We are going to apply the distributive property. And we are going to distribute the negative to the entire group in order to remove the parentheses. So we're going to do just an example of the distributive property. So we're going to do 2 and then in parentheses x minus 4. Well, the distributive property says that if we have a number on the outside, we are going to multiply it to everything on the inside. So we are going to draw these arrows to show that. So if we do 2 times x, that is equal to 2x. And then if we do 2 times a negative 4, positive times a negative, they're different signs, so that means it's got to be a negative. So then we have minus 8. All right, once we've done step 1, on to step 2, we are going to combine like terms. Okay, let's go ahead and do an example. So this first one here we are adding, so let's look at our steps. Step 1 says if the group has no sign, well, our first set of parentheses has no sign, so that means we can just drop the parentheses because they're not necessary. So we have 2x plus 5. Well, our second set of parentheses has an addition sign in front, so that means it's also not necessary, so we can drop the parentheses. So plus 4x minus 10. Now, just a disclaimer, if we had a number in front, we would have to distribute that first, like we did here, then that's whenever we could drop them. All right, step 2, we combine like terms. So the first term that we have is x's, so we have 2x plus 4x. Well, 2x plus 4x is 2 plus 4, or 6x. And then we have our constants, so we have plus 5 and then minus 10. So we have a positive 5 minus 10. They have different signs, so we subtract. So 10 minus 5 is 5. And then we keep the sign whichever one was bigger. In this case, it's the 10, so that means we have to have a minus 5. Our final answer, 6x minus 5. Now let's do number 2. So this time we are subtracting. Notice there's a subtraction sign there. Well, if we look at our first set of parentheses, we don't have any sign, so that means it's the first case where we can drop the parentheses. So we have 2x plus 5. Now our second set, we have a subtraction sign in front, so we have to distribute that negative. So we're going to distribute it to both terms, not just one. So we have a negative times a positive 4x. Well, negative times a positive, they're different signs, so that means it has to be a negative. So we have minus 4x. And then we have a negative times a negative 10. So a negative times a negative would be a positive since they're the same. So we have plus 10. Now step number 2, we combine like terms. So our first term we have is an x, so we have 2x and then minus 4x. 2 minus 4, those have different signs, so we subtract. So 4 minus 2 is 2. Keep the sign of the larger one, in this case is that negative, so we have minus 2x. Then now we have our constants, so we have plus 5 and then plus 10. Well, 5 plus 10, as we know it, is 15. So our final answer is negative 2x plus 15. All right, let's do a couple more practice problems. What I want you to do is pause this video and I want you to try the first 3 on your own and then check back in the video. All right, let's go over these first 3. So we don't have a sign in front, so that means we can drop parentheses. So we have negative 5x, then plus 3. Our second one, we have an addition sign in front, so that means we can drop it. So we have plus 4x and then minus 14. Combine like terms, so we have negative 5x plus 4x. Negative 5 plus 4x, so negative 5 plus 4 would be negative 1x. Then our constants, plus 3, and then minus 14. So positive 3 minus 14 would be a negative 11, so we have minus 11. Remember, we do not have to write that 1, so we can drop it. So this would be negative x minus 11. Number 8, our first one, we do not have anything in front, so we can drop it. So we have x plus 3. However, our second term, we're subtracting, so we have to distribute that negative. So we have negative times a positive 4x, so that becomes minus 4x. And then we have a negative times a positive, so that becomes a minus 3, because they're different. Combine like terms, x minus 4x, well, that would give us negative 3x. And then we have plus 3, and then we have minus 3. Well, 3 minus 3 is 0, so we can just leave it as negative 3x. Number 9. All right, so first one we have x, and then we notice we have a whole bunch of addition. We don't have any numbers in front, so we can just drop all of the parentheses. So we have x plus 1 plus x plus 2. Combining like terms, put all of our x's together, so we have x plus x plus x. Well, how many x's do we have? 3. And remember that coefficient in front of those, even though it's not written as 1, so it's like 1 plus 1 plus 1. And the same thing you can see is 3x. Then we have our constants, so plus 1 and then plus 2. So 1 plus 2 would give us plus 3. All right, I want you to now try doing numbers 10 and 11 on your own. So go ahead and pause the video and give those a try and then come back and check. All right, number 10. We don't have a sign in front, so we can drop the parentheses. So we have negative 4x plus 9. Well, then in our second set, we have a subtraction sign in front, so that means we need to distribute that negative. So now we have minus x, and then we have a negative times a negative, so that becomes plus 5. Let's combine like terms. So we have negative 4x minus x, negative 4 minus 1x, because remember that coefficient's a 1. That's also the same as if we had negative 4 plus negative 1. That's the same. So they have the same sign, so we add them and keep the sign. So we would have negative 5x. And then now we have our constants. So we have plus 9, and then we have plus 5. So then 9 plus 5 would give us 14. So negative 5x plus 14. All right, number 11. We do not have anything in front of our parentheses, so we can drop it. So we have a plus b plus c. Now our second set, we have a subtraction sign, so we have to distribute to everything in parentheses. So now we have minus a, minus b, and minus c, because we're subtracting it. Okay, so let's combine like terms. So we have a and then minus a. Well, a minus a is 0, because it's like 1 minus 1. Our next term that we have is b. So we have plus b and then minus b. Well, b minus b is 0. And then lastly, we have plus c and then minus c. Well, c minus c is 0. So we're left with 0 plus 0 plus 0, which is just 0. Okay, let's do number 12 together. So number 12, notice that we have both fractions and decimals. Okay, so let's convert them both to one type. I'll choose this case. Let's work with decimals because on number 13, we're going to be doing fractions. So if we convert a fraction to a decimal, we have to do division because a fraction bar represents division. So if we do 1 divided by 2, 2 does not go into 1, so we have to add a decimal point and then a 0, carry that decimal point up. Well, 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Now we have a remainder of 0. So I'm going to rewrite my expression, and I can see I can drop my parentheses because I don't have anything in front. So now I have 0.5x minus 7. Then looking at my second term, well, I have an addition sign, so I can drop the parentheses again. So plus 1.5x plus 2. Now let's combine like terms. So 0.5x and then plus 1.5x. So then we just have 1.5 plus 0.5, and when we add those up, we would get 2. So we now have 2x. Then our constants, we have minus 7 plus 2. Well, negative 7 plus 2 would be negative 5, so minus 5. Okay, last couple of problems here. Let's do 13 together. And so now we're working with fractions. So if we look at our first set, we don't have anything in front of our parentheses, so we can just drop them. So we have 2/3 y plus 7z. Then now we have a subtraction sign, so we have to make sure we distribute that negative. So if we have a negative times a negative, that makes it positive. So now we have a plus 1/3 y. And then we have a negative times a positive, so that becomes minus z. Let's rearrange to combine like terms. So we have 2/3 y and plus 1/3 y. We need to make sure whenever we add with fractions, we have to check to make sure they have common denominators. In this case we do, so we're good, we can proceed. So we have 2/3 plus 1/3, which is 3/3 y or 1y. Now let's take care of our z's. So we have plus 7z and then minus z. Well, 7z minus z, remember that has a coefficient of 1 even though it's not written, so 7 minus 1 would be 6z. Last but not least, remember we do not have to write that 1 in front, so we can just write it as y and then plus 6z. All right, I want you to try 14 and 15 on your own and then check with the video. Number 14, what is the sum? So that means we're adding. So we have 3a minus 5b in parentheses, then plus negative 7a plus 8b. Well, we don't have anything in front of this set of parentheses, so we can drop them. So we have 3a minus 5b. Then if we look at our second set of parentheses, well, we have a plus sign in front, so we can also drop it. So now we have minus 7a and then plus 8b. Let's rearrange to combine like terms. So we have 3a minus 7a. Well, 3 minus 7 is negative 4a. And then our b's, we have negative 5b plus 8b. So negative 5 plus 8 would give us a positive 3. So plus 3b. And remember, we always write them in alphabetical order when we list our terms, so that's why we started with our A first. All right, last but not least, number 15. What is the difference? Difference means we are subtracting. So we have negative 1.2a plus 4 in parentheses, and minus 0.8a, and then minus 10. All right, our first set of parentheses, we don't have anything in front, so we can drop it. So negative 1.2a plus 4. Now this one, we have a negative, so we have to distribute it to both. So negative times a positive, so we have negative 0.8a, and then a negative times a negative would make it a positive, so we have plus 10. Let's rearrange to combine like terms. So negative 1.2a and then minus 0.8a. So these have the same sign, so we add them. So 1.2 plus 0.8, well, that would give us a whole number of 2. And in this case, we keep the sign, so that means it's going to be a negative 2a. Now let's take care of our constants. So we have plus 4 and then plus 10. So 4 plus 10 would be 14. So negative 2a plus 14. Please make sure that you glue this into your strategy section.